to Egret Isle Farm and the Serene Disciple Project. It's still the apocalypse. You know, I think we can do better than this. A little more real, but I think we can do even better than this. Well, that is better. Welcome to the Serene Disciple Project at Egret Isle Farm, and I'm here in the garden shed today, mostly to keep the microphone out of the wind. And this is better. This is better. There is a pandemic going on, and I don't mean to make light of that. Real people are suffering, far away and right here locally. But Kay and I are dutifully staying here on the farm.
Please, Motherfucker, please don't fling me in that property.
I thought I'd take this week to share what's been going on around the farm as we are sheltering in place. And then maybe talk about some shelter-in-place strategies that Kay and I have been field testing this week. But let's start right here in the garden. Let's go take a look. Cabbage and broccoli is looking good, established. The greens, the Swiss chard actually from last year is really going. We'll be eating that for a while. The tomatoes are even beginning to bloom as they get established. The greens bed has really taken off this week. We'll be eating from that soon. The squash beds are looking good. And finally, the asparagus is starting to produce. Our chicken flock had gotten down to Oscar the rooster and 2 competing roosters, which now live in the freezer, and 3 hens. We decided that this was not enough for our current needs, and so I picked up 10 more chickens. I'm keeping them separate for now until they all get used to each other, and then I'll integrate the flock. Hang on. Woo. It's her first time on video, you know. Here's one of the new chickens. You're a good-looking chicken. Did anybody ever tell you that? You're a good-looking chicken. So, all of these new ones are about a year old. They have entered their prime in terms of egg-laying capacity. And from a being prepared for disaster point of view, a small flock of chickens just makes sense. You can have them in a very small space. We started raising chickens in our little suburban yard in Austin. In fact, raising chickens and interacting with chickens, especially grandkids interacting with chickens, was one of the primary reasons we ended up with a farm. But from a disaster preparation point of view, these ladies can turn bugs and weeds into protein, into eggs and meat. And they're just a lot of fun. There's just something emotionally satisfying, even spiritual, about taking care of chickens. A sort of spiritual discipline that makes edible protein. So how are we managing our staying at home during this shelter-in-place season? Well, to begin with, it was kind of hard because before, the only time Kay was home was on weekends or holidays. And so every day was like Saturday, but a Saturday where Kay had to work, which was kind of a drag. Now, what moved us past that phase was the establishment of a pretty strict routine. Let me show it to you. Kay gets up early and exercises, and then is at her desk at work by about 7. Here she is at her standing desk in the sunroom. I get up later and then spend some time on the front porch, just being quiet, getting acquainted with the day, and then I'm at my desk at work by about 8:30. Around noon, we have lunch together in the kitchen, and then we take a little walk around the farm paths, or maybe take a bicycle ride on the country lanes around the farm. Around 4, we stop our regular work and do some work around the farm, whether mowing or gardening or creative work in the shop. Around 5, after our farm work is done, we cook together in the kitchen and then have supper. The evenings are spent sometimes watching TV there in the living room, but often here in the sunroom. We read together. We just finished a very nice version of The Hobbit, perhaps putting a puzzle together. Kay has just finished this one while I read. Sometimes another walk out around the farm or a walk in the garden to see what's doing well, or sometimes just sitting on the porch listening to the coming night sounds and talking. Round 8, Kay goes upstairs for a little quiet time before bed while I prepare for my nightly role as a small group facilitator for conference calls that bring people together from all over the world. Kay's in bed by 9 and I'm off my calls with a little time to wind down myself and in bed by about 11:30. Rinse, wash, repeat. I have become a firm believer as we have learned to adapt to this new situation of scheduling, of a schedule, of establishing and then modifying and then trying and then playing with and then finally sticking to and playing with some more and sticking to a pretty strict schedule. I think that avoids a lot of problems and keeps us from being at each other's throat. Well, that's it from Egret Isle Farm for the Serene Disciple Project this week. You know, I would love to hear how you are doing at the confined life. What lessons have you learned? What strategies have you come upon that have worked? I'd love to read those in the comments below over the next week. And so, that's it for this week. Next week, guns and knives at home on the farm in the apocalypse. Stay tuned for next Friday's video. You don't want to miss it.